Welcome to Nerd Chat Week 13. Got the same old crew with us. Does anybody want to start off what they've been up to?
You, since you're always last.
I am always last, but I don't mind that. Not much. I mean, well, I can't. I would like to say not much, but really, there's been a lot going on. I don't seem to have any free time, just with my regular full-time job as an electrician still, and then working with Blackbot on my off hours. But what was cool is yesterday I actually got to attend a cyber threat course, like an in-person course. Believe it or not, they still do those. And it was hosted by SoCal Off Grid and Shelator. It was cool, man. We covered a lot of the basic stuff of like operational security, as far as just staying safe, make sure you have long, strong passwords and stuff like that. You know, like online hygiene and that kind of stuff. And then
What is online hiding?
online hygiene.
Yeah.
So like making sure that you're either using plugins, you know, that you're not saving all your passwords in all your browsers and stuff like that.
And what would happen if you do that?
Or typing in your name in every everything
that
asks for your name.
How can you mitigate that? What can you do to put it in place?
I use password managers as far as the password thing. So if you ask me what my password is, I honestly couldn't tell you because I have no idea, because it's like 25 characters of all sorts of random
things. Yeah, you use auto-generate. But I'm saying, like, okay, so what is a password manager, just for those out there?
So I could take this.
Chime in, Jay. I know you love this one.
Yeah. This is my specialty. But no, don't consider a password manager. Consider it like the entire internet manager, because you could put fake answers for your security questions. You could put fake names. You could put fake everything. And really what you should do is ask yourself, when I sign up to this site, is it illegal to put fake information, and do they need it? You know, even if you get something shipped, did you know, like, you don't need to put your actual last name if you put the address. And there's sites like Anonaddy, which is, you don't even have to give them an email. You could just give them a fake subdomain that send and then forwards to your real email. And that's really like where the I don't know, internet hygiene comes in, is, you know, can I put fake information? Is it illegal if I do? Which 99% of the time it's not. Pass phrases instead of passwords, and not things like lyrics to a song, but like a sentence that maybe you'll remember that's super unique. And just, I mean, false information, when you can do that, that's really what you can do.
Another thing I like, if you ever use privacy.com, it's basically where you can set up virtual credit cards. So if you know, hey, I'm only spending like $100 on something, it generates a credit card number that you can use for that purchase. You can set a cap on it. So then if those, credentials get leaked or that information gets out there, they can't, charge more than is on the card. It also works good if you need to, make some interesting purchases that you don't want to have on your actual debit card.
Cool.
Yeah, Chase offers that too.
So when you're saying like leaked out there, when people get their email pawned and stuff like that, what is that? What does that mean?
Breaches, leaks, depends. Companies either, hacked externally and then that's leaked online, or they leave something often misconfigured, like a Elastic DB or Elasticsearch, and that's found by a researcher and then either sold or just put online publicly for fun.
So what kind of tools can you do to generate that information? Like, how can I go out and get that, and how can I prevent it? So say, how can I go out there right now and say, okay, is my email leaked, or is my credit card leaked? Like,
you can always go on haveibeenpwned.com, and so haveibeenpwned.com will pretty much announce all of the known leaks and all the known breaches, and you type in your email, and if your email has been part of one of the known breaches, then it'll show you like where it's been breached, what information was breached, whether it's your address, your passwords, stuff like that, username. And it's funny that we were talking about that, because that's another reason why not only should you have long, strong passwords, but you have to regularly change them. Because what people do is they get these word lists together, right? They get all these passwords that have been leaked in these breaches. They put them in a word list, and if they're trying to get into your account, they just start putting those hashes against either all these passwords or whatever. And if your password is in there and you haven't changed it, then they're going to get into your account, right?
It's actually a super cool Tor site that I use with a tool called Karma, and that lets me search by the domain. So like at whatever, like at GameSec, I could search by password and find other emails that have been leaked with the same password, or I could search by username, all those separately. So like, even if it's just your email, I could still search by your password. And if your password is the same on other emails, it might come back. And now I have you across multiple accounts, which is super sweet.
Right.
Also, you can go to hacker forums like raid forums and just download the breaches themselves. So like I have not just from raid forums or hack forums or whatever, but I have a good collection, few billion username and password combinations. So if you ever want me to check if yours is in my collection, you let me know.
And it's funny that you say that. I had an old, when MySpace was hot and commodity.
I had. Now.
It's so funny because I
had one.
And I had an email address. It was like Gorman60. I don't remember what the fuck it was, but like something at hotmail.com, right? And I had, it was funny because the other day, my daughter's sister was like, oh, I want to get my graduation pictures, right, from college. And I remember I had it on my Facebook. I didn't have Facebook back then, but like MySpace. And there's a way, I queried that email because I don't remember the password, so I didn't know. And there's tools out there. There's have it saved, and I just like put, it's a Python script, and I just like put my email address, and it goes out and gives me what the password were, what emails they were associated with. Like for example, MySpace.com was Roman64 at hotmail.com, and it gave me the password that was generated. I guess it got pawned many moons ago. And I didn't, I'll tell you the password. It was like Nike Skater 85 because I love my Nikes, and Skater 85. That's the year I was born. But I was like, okay, fair enough. Like, and I didn't remember because I'm like, okay, I've been skating and God knows how long. And I don't remember now. I'm putting like Nike Skater, but I was like, shit, I totally forgot all about that password. And I was able to get into
that's why it's good.
My MySpace account, but it was then I changed the password.
Yeah.
So you can't use Nike Skater anymore. But
which is one of the other advantages with those password managers, because when you're using a random character syntax, then it's harder to create a word list. Where, like as a penetration tester, if we're going after a company, a lot of times we'll use a program like Cool, CEWL, which is a word list creator, and we'll scrape their website. Because a lot of people, when you work for a company, let's say it's like ABC Industry, you might have like ABC in the password. And so we'll assemble a list with just different words or product specific things or common local sports teams, because a lot of people will use those in there.
Winter 2020.
Yeah. It's crazy.
The Cool tool is actually really easy to use, right? You just type in a URL and it just creates a word list.
Yeah, you can use it with just about anything, but you can also set parameters. Like you can make a list of like just 6 character to 8 character passwords. That way you're not ending up with too much data.
Right.
Because if you're throwing too many requests, sometimes it's better to tailor it. But a lot of times we'll use that not only for word lists for passwords, but even for like Wi-Fi passwords. Because when you're cracking Wi-Fi, when it creates the actual password for WPA2, it's using the SSID plus the password to kind of create that handshake. So you can use those to, if hey, I'm going to go test this company, I'll make a rainbow table ahead of time of like 1 billion different possible combinations. So once I get that 4-way handshake of someone connecting, I can just compare that, and it's significantly faster.
And I want to ask you, Jacob, like, I know you got the OSCW, right? Like you have the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the OSWP. Yeah.
Yeah, and how was that? I want to always ask you about it, but
the test was a little bit dated, but it was still pretty applicable. It's a little different than most of their tests because you only get like 2.5 hours to break into 3 wireless networks, and they put you in a pretty target-rich environment. There's like 40 different wireless access points. So you have to be very careful with your commands, because if you start like deauthing another network around them, then you end up getting kicked offline. And the other challenge is it's a little harder to study for, because not like the OSCP where you can't just download a VM. You have to actually have some tools to practice. And when you take the test, you're SSHing into another box you don't control.
Yeah, exactly.
There's the way I actually studied for it was basically SSHing into a Raspberry Pi that I had set up, so I could simulate and get used to using the wireless attacks over SSH and dealing with, if I got disconnected, I can jump back in. And I try to create my testing environment to mirror their testing environment as close as possible. So like you don't get to use tmux or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Actually, I think it's like a backtrack 5 R2 ISO on their system. So like the closest tool you have is screen, or you
Yeah.
can do multiple SSH connections. So I basically just practice for, like what happens if I lose a connection or the internet goes down? How can I make sure I can get back in and keep running through? So I mean, it was
Gotcha.
a good test overall.
So it's
Was
not
it just
20
a lot of-
hours, it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Bloody
Was it
hell.
a lot of the air crack suite or?
Yeah, it's all air crack, so it's all manual. There, like
Okay.
when I took the test, there was like a WEP and then like a couple WPA2 that you had to
A
crack.
wet?
Yep. Which
That's a throwback.
yeah, you'd be surprised how often we still find it, even like especially industrial control units, like power
Of course,
stations,
yeah.
things like that. Yeah, like
I
there's
mean,
still a lot
even
of WEP
city
floating out
blocks.
there. Yep.
City blocks, you'll still find them once in a while.
And some wireless access points you can force to downgrade too. But yeah, it just depends on how crappy the setup is.
Is that because they just haven't gotten around to upgrading their infrastructure? Or?
Yeah, or somebody just a lot of times you'll see like, oh, we needed to get a extended segment, and rather than run a cable, they like pull a switch out of a closet and just plug it in. So we'll see that a lot on wireless assessments where someone plugs in a router and they don't realize it's got a wireless open network on it, and you just expose your entire company behind the firewall.
Yeah. So
Right.
Yeah, or like,
so if someone wanted to go ahead and go implement some wireless stuff, like you go and use heat map software to actually see, okay, where the main coverages are, how would you go about assessing a wireless implementation?
Yeah, usually we'll walk. We'll get an idea like from the customer, what are your SSIDs, and then we'll do a physical walk to see how far out they bleed. Both if it's a multi-floor building, we want to see how far up or down it can go, and then how far out it propagates, and then from there, we start looking for like rogue access points where I have an application that sends traffic pings out and then looks for them coming from the wireless. So that way you can tell if someone plugged in a wireless access point because you're seeing this traffic basically looking for you.
Gotcha. Fair enough. James, what's behind you? Is that Cisco gear? It's collecting dust?
So this one's actually a printer.
Oh,
Underneath it is all of my Cisco gear.
so you're trying to hide it. So you
No, I was actually thinking because I was getting like a list together of all the stuff that I had, and I was thinking about selling it on eBay. But I was like, it took me a long time to get like all this specific gear for the CCNA course that is on CBT Nuggets. So I was like, why don't I just like put it together and do like a giveaway or something for someone that's really studying for the CCNA,
Yeah, or you can just keep it and just keep going with. If you, I don't know what the route you want to go, but if you even go CCNA, CCNP, CCNP security, any kind of route, you can still use that physical gear.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I got everything together, like down to every little detail of the power over Ethernet when I couldn't get my Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything works now. So it is.
And it's good to have. And
yeah.
like, I don't know, I'm a big believer. Even though I have GNS3, I have EVE-NG, and all these different things. Like when I'm doing my CCNP security, I have all the FTWs, FTCs, and all that stuff like Firepower Threat Defense, Firepower Threat Defense Manager. This is all how you deploy all the configs for your new firewalls. It's not like the ASAs. The ASAs use what's called ASDM. ASDM is the manager that you deploy and get configured for the typical Cisco ASA firewalls, but the FTD is so different. Then you use CDA or Cisco Device Manager, something, I forget exactly what the name is, but it's so different than. But I think my point being is like if you have the physical gear, I think it's so much better to actually when you're studying, then you can automate, you can use Puppet, you can use Ansible and all these kind of applications to send you those REST APIs and deploy that. But obviously, I'll leave that offline, because that part of CBT Nuggets is, but.
I'd say one thing you could do with that, James, you could, find like a local hacker space and like, lend it to them to set up a lab where other people that may not be able to afford the equipment can come and train on it.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, you could do that.
That would be way cool.
And even you can do security stuff like VLAN hopping. There's a whole bunch of little things.
No, there's like the learning of capabilities on a Cisco lab are insane. And just like you were saying, like if I wanted to just like go like next level, like CCNP and stuff like that, I could just buy like the firewalls and just add it on top of this setup already. So
yeah, it's like
I would get some shelves because I don't want you to get like killed in an avalanche of IT equipment.
I know, there's so many, dude. Yeah. That's like the one thing I was thinking is like, man, if I do end up selling this online, I have to pay like $120 for shipping, like all this stack of machines. So
Or you can try to do it on like OfferUp or one of those local things like
yeah, I don't know. OfferUp, dude, everyone just lowballs. I'm not about OfferUp.
Yeah, I haven't used that. I had an incident. I don't know how much I can explain online, but maybe we can talk about this offline. But on Craigslist many years ago, and after that, I had.
No more, yeah.
I don't fuck with that online
Yeah,
stuff.
I made friends with a Craigslist scammer once, like from Nigeria, literally the classic. I was just like, dude, I know you're trying to scam me. Where are you from? Like, what's your story? And then he was just like, do you know where I can convert PayPal to like gift cards? So I like Googled it for him because I guess Google wasn't working or something, and we were boys.
That's tight.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember
Yeah,
when
no,
Craigslist was good. Like I remember like when I was living, you know, about 12 years ago, just when I moved down, like 2 years after I moved down, like I got my furniture from like when I was in college, all this stuff like I got on Craigslist. It was good. And then I don't know when it like transpired to like people robbing people, people trying to do some craziness. I'm like,
it's gotten so bad over in our area that they set up like little meet stations right at the police department. So that's usually a good red
Oh,
flag.
really?
Like if you're not even willing to meet right outside the cops' place, yeah, I'm not driving to your house.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you guys
crazy.
are in Florida, so.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just extraordinarily happy it's not Florida in the news this time with all the other chaos. It's always Florida.
Yeah,
And
right.
this time we get a nice break. Like it's sad that the most normal thing that's happened this year was a hurricane coming right at my house. Like, you know.
Nice.
yeah. So how was that?
It was pretty good. We ended up getting a lot of wind. I had a small tree in my backyard fall over, but nothing, too major. It was scary there for a minute, but then it died pretty quick. So
Yeah, I think there's another one out there right now over in Nicaragua.
yeah, this season's been insane.
Yeah, this thing is making like it's going like this and like this.
Yeah.
And,
Well, there's
I think like Bill Gates is controlling some hurricanes. They were like saying some stuff like that.
anybody that's in those conspiracy theories, I invite to become an IT project manager. Like, oh yeah, the vote was rigged. Okay, you got thousands of different voting systems. Like, have you ever tried to coordinate people? I've been doing some of this stuff at work, and like, I don't know how project managers do it. Like, anybody out there who has a PMP, like, more power to you, because it's the old phrase they say it's like herding cats, and that's like the closest thing I could come to an analogy. You're always waiting on somebody. The emails are coming too late. The project always gets pushed too far. Like if you did rig anything or you could control the weather, the amount of people it would take to do that, like, yeah, you should be running for president.
Maybe they will next election.
I can't even get people to return emails so that we can clear funding for their projects. Like, it's not like we're trying to do anything bad. Like, just say yes so I can give you money so you can do the
Yeah,
thing
right.
you
Yeah,
wanna do.
still waiting on them. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, so back to some of the online hygiene. Well, so it was like operational security. It wasn't necessarily just online hygiene. So it was down to like if you're using wireless cameras, someone can come in with a deauthor and turn all your stuff off, right? But that's just like the cool way to do it. Like if they really wanted to get into your house, they'll just go to your breaker box and turn off all your power, So it's like where's your panel? Are you locking it, and that sort of stuff. So it was cool.
There's a good talk on that with like the little fire keys that they have for the fire department to get into buildings. There's like a lockbox on the outside, and somebody at DEF CON found out like, hey, if you look, a lot of the areas they all use the same key. So if you order one of those boxes to put on your building, you could get a copy of the key, and then you just go around everywhere in your municipality. It's like, oh, I can unlock it, and it's got usually a set of the building keys and a copy of the alarm code. And he's like, yeah, this is kind of a big security risk. But
wait, what does it unlock exactly?
so it's like a little box on the outside of the building where if I'm like a firefighter, I have a special key that I'm supposed to be able to come and unlock the box.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I can't remember the name. There's like a special name for it, but I'll post when you guys throw this online. I'll throw the DEF CON talk in there because it was really good. They ended up like figuring out how to 3D print a key that would work, and exposing that this key was reused in multiple locations around like an entire state. Like if you had this one key, you could get into this lockbox for any building in the state. So
it's pretty wicked. That's pretty
it is.
It's that type of
in
stuff
the
people
in the
don't
right
think about.
hands, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it makes sense. You don't want to have a firefighter with like 30 keys fumbling around, but there's probably more secure ways they could come up with to do it. And he does make some suggestions in the talk as well. So it was a good one.
That whole thing with convenience, man.
Mm-hmm.
The more convenient it is, the less secure.
Si, senor. That's correct.
All right, Jacob. So what's up with this PC build? We got a little bit of time left.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just finally upgrading. I don't like to buy things. I usually reuse or find things to recycle. So my desktop computer was getting up in age. It was an original generation 1 i7 processor, so it's been dying when I try to do like Chrome and Zoom and a VM at the same time. So finally did an upgrade. Tried to keep it under like $1,000 just to have a nice little budget because most of my money's going into home improvement projects since I'm trapped here. So yeah, came out pretty good. It's up and running. I just got to now install my OS and get everything moved over, so you know how that goes.
Yeah.
What are you throwing on it?
I'm probably gonna use Pop. I've been using that a lot. Pop OS by System 76. I really like
What's
it.
that?
It's like a Linux distribution. So
Which backend?
it's based off of Ubuntu and Debian, but
Okay.
they've made some adjustments. So if you go to System 76, they're a company in America, in Colorado, and they create custom laptops and desktops that are all assembled here, and they have their own OS distribution. But
Mm.
POP.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's the hotkeys are very easy to use. It's very programmer centric, and also when I put on my laptop with a NVIDIA card, I ended up getting like 2 extra hours of battery life just because their drivers are much more efficient. So, well, in comparison to like vanilla Debian, but I like them a lot, and they're also one of the few that does full disk encryption by default when you set it up. So they're really pushing that next.
So which one you running? Pop OS 20.10 or 20.4 LTS?
Depends. I have one on. I have a couple different laptops. I have one just for CTFs, and I have a daily driver. So
Gotcha.
I have one running each. So one second.
You want to know about antivirus, right, James?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, Jay. Let's hear it. How come my antivirus isn't worth my money?
I mean, there's two types. There's runtime antivirus and scan time antivirus. Okay. So like runtime is like something like Malwarebytes, or scan time is like Malwarebytes, right? Where you have to manually hit, okay, I want to scan for viruses now or malware or whatever. And then there's runtime, which is like your Avast antivirus or whatever that's called. And the thing with runtime is it's constantly running. So it takes up more resources than it's actually worth. And that's why it's really not worth running, and it's not worth your money. If you're concerned, put Malwarebytes on your computer, run that once a week, once a day, once a month, however you want to do it. But like that is enough for you to be like, okay, this isn't good. Something's wrong. I have a pop-up, my computer's slow, let me run it. Compared to like, if you're just like clicking everything and downloading a bunch of random stuff, then you maybe could, benefit from like a runtime one, like a one that's constantly running, constantly scanning, constantly taking up computer resources. But otherwise, it's just a waste, and it ends up doing more damage than it's worth, in my opinion. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in, but
I don't know. I don't use antivirus.
yeah, I mean, there's no.
I don't use it.
You don't like slowing down your computer?
No. I mean, Malwarebytes is good. CC Cleaner, Malwarebytes, run that once a month, dude. You're good.
Windows Defender has been doing a really good job. Up until the last few iterations, but the other side with that too. Now a lot of them are getting away from SHA-1, which is like they'll hash a file to compare it to their known signatures. Now they're going to SHA-256, which if you have a legacy system, is gonna just spin your CPU fan all day while it's trying to compute all that.
Defender got like combined with oh god, what is it? What's the biggest cyber firm? FireEye.
Yeah.
Oh, FireEye.
So that's why, I mean, supposedly why it's so much better now is that they're like contributing to it. So, but yeah, I've heard it's really good. I mean, I don't have any problems, but I have Defender disabled because it's annoying. But
the other thing we see with those type of things too is like if you wait like since they're constantly updating their hashes, you can go back and use an old sample and it just won't be in their table anymore. So you wait like 2 years and then pull out this old malware and they're not detected anymore.
Yep.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it comes in handy when you're making like Metasploit payloads. It's like, yeah, if I'm having trouble, I'll boot up an old copy of
A
college from like
legacy.
2 years ago and then encrypt it, that way, and then it won't get flagged because they're like, oh, who's going to use a 4-year-old piece of software to encrypt anything?
A lot of people.
Yeah,
Talk
some
about
guy in
cloud
India
professionals.
who picked up a laptop. Yeah,
That's crazy. That's cool.
Okay.
Antivirus.
Few more minutes. Patty,
Me?
take us
Not
home.
much. Just just been doing some SQL stuff actually at work, setting up Windows clustering, a lot more Windows stuff in my world, and set up a VMware server for our new 5-file threat defense firewalls, and set up the 5-file threat defense manager to manage all 3 firewalls, 1 in our corporate office, 2 in our data center. Set it up in an HA pair, got all that configured. And then now the last thing is, like, when you set up, you guys know about Windows clustering, how that works.
Mm.
So, and if you don't, James, but so like if you have,
Break it down.
so technically the Microsoft way, you have 3 different networks, right? You have your production network that's connected to your Active Directory, and then you have your iSCSI network if you want to traverse that traffic through iSCSI to a SAN, etc. Then you have your clustering network, which you have your cluster traffic. So when you have, then you have a listener, then you have a witness. So in our case, we're going to be pointing that witness instead of to an iSCSI share, we're going to be pointing that to Azure. So we download the key, we put that witness in on our SQL on our nodes, and then that's how it communicates to the cloud. And that's how, pretty much it's a very simple process. It's people overcomplicate. I was reading stuff online. Clustering is very simple. It's a role in Microsoft. Server manager, you hit fellow cluster next, you pick your 2 nodes, and it's a wrap. It's done. 10 minutes, you have a cluster. And then the next thing is we have to install SQL 2019 on top of that. And then it gets out of my, then that goes to developers and SQL people, because that's not my, but as long as the witness and all that stuff is communicating, and when we turn off node 1, I skipped the whole thing. What do we have? Another minute. So when you set up the cluster, you have your IP for your host, and you have an actual cluster IP that traverses between both nodes, right? So it's just like HSRP in the Cisco world, or VRRP. You have your virtual IP, and you have your 2 routers and your virtual IP. If router 1 goes down, this is still your gateway, right? Same concept, same pretty much as if you know the Cisco world. So it's pretty much the same thing. So we tested on Friday. We turned off node 1, everything fell over to node 2, and we're able to still communicate to sqlcluster01.abc.com. And that's pretty much where we're at. Now tomorrow when we go in, we'll set up the SQL stuff and then move over some databases from prod to dev, and then test that. And then I think by today, hopefully before Thanksgiving, we can move these 2 servers from dev to production in Miami. So that's pretty much what what I've been up to.
Nothing new. Basic stuff.
Basic stuff.
Yeah.
just
All right,
building
man,
the
so I think it's
company
under a
with.
minute. So hopefully next week we have some more stuff in here. I want to try to go skate. I want to see him here and try to get this up. What is it? Pop show? What the hell is a zero flip?
Zero flip.
I don't know. Zero. I heard, but we'll talk about that in the chat. But yeah.
That's the trick I invented. Zero flip.
Yeah. Just sit here and I'm fucking not doing zero shit.
Right.
That's a zero flip.
The slacker flip.
All right, guys. So we'll link up on the chat, and good seeing you guys. And until next time.
Good seeing you guys. Thank you.
Ciao.
Later.
Later.